Hey everybody, I'm Scott Wikle. You're listening to My Kind of Country. Thanks for joining me on a Monday night. My guest is going to be on the benefit for the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, Country for a Cause, June the 3rd at 6:30 p.m., 3rd in Lindsley in Nashville. And he's also got a brand new album out. We're going to talk about that tonight, some other great things going on. He is a Songwriter of the Year from the Texas Country Music Awards. It's an honor to have Trey Calloway on My Kind of Country. Trey, how are you tonight?
Mr. Scott, I'm fantastic, buddy. I'm glad you are as well.
Well, it's good to talk to you again. It's been a little while, and we got your new album ready to go. We're excited about it.
Thank you, sir. Man, I'm honored to be here, and we're really excited about this new album, man. I've been working on these songs for about a year now, and got the next one in the works, man. We're keeping the music coming as much as we can, buddy.
Always going on to the next project, right?
Yes, sir. Musician's job never ends, man. Don't let anybody lie to you.
That's for sure. Folks, you can go to TreyCallawayMusic.com and you can get all of Trey's music there, as well as keep in touch with him about tour dates and all that stuff. We'll put that information on our Facebook page for My Kind of Country as well. The new album is called Truck Around, and man, you got some good stuff on here, and you've written every song on here, right?
There are a couple of outside cuts on the record. Must Have Had a Good Time was written by Anthony Smith and I believe Frank Myers, and then Chris Young. The country singer Chris Young wrote that song, and Chris was going to record it and ended up not recording it. I think there was a song called Good Time or something around the time they wrote it, so he never recorded it. And I heard it and just loved it, man, so we put it on the album. And then I know I'm missing one. There's another one that's an outside cut on there somewhere, but it'll come to me. But, yeah, except for those, I wrote or co-wrote every song on the album, man. So it's a pretty cool feeling, man, to get these songs. They're your babies, you know. You finally get to bring them to life and let the world hear them, man. It's cool.
Absolutely. You know, and I think there's something really special about a person that writes their own music and records it. There's, you know, it kind of sets you above everybody else, you know, not to discredit anyone else, but, you know, songwriters really just have such a leg up in this business, I think, you know, when you're putting out quality material. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, absolutely. And, you know, I'm kind of both, you know. I'm team songwriter and team outside cut. You know, if the song is the right song, I will record it. You know, I want to bring, because there's a lot of songwriters out there, Scott, that don't necessarily have the ability to sing what they write that well. You know, they can't bring the song to life on stage. You know, I always attribute it to like George Strait and Dean Dillon. You know, Dean's a good singer, but George Strait is just that voice of a generation. He brought those songs to life in a way that nobody else could, and so that's kind of that symbiotic relationship between singer and songwriter. So I'm always telling people, you know, if you've got a song, you know, pitch it to me. I can't promise you I'm going to record it, but I can promise you, and I do. I always listen. I will listen to it. So
well, that's a good.
I appreciate the compliment, Scott. That means a lot to me. I love writing songs, but my favorite part is singing them on stage, man. You know, and recording them, bringing them to life. Well,
absolutely. You know, as you write your songs, do they kind of morph into something that maybe you didn't originally think of when you wrote the song? When you're going to record, does it kind of come out a little differently?
Yes, that's a great question. So sometimes you'll hear a song in your head on the way to the studio, and every now and then I'll be like, no, it really needs to be like this. It really needs to be like this. But I've always kind of been on the side of letting the session musicians and letting those guys who just are masters at their instrument really put their touch on it, really put their soul into it too, because I think 9 times out of 10 I end up with a better record. You know, I've always learned that, like, do the things you do well and let the other people that do things well do what they do well, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
So we had like Bukovac and Chris McHugh is on this new album I'm working on, and those guys are just monsters, man. You know, so when they had good ideas, I'm never going to be the one to be like, no, let's do it the way I want to do it only. And there are some guys out there who work that way, and that's fine. You know, it's their workflow. But I've learned a long time ago that in this business, it's a team effort, man. You know, I might be the guy whose name is on stuff, but but this is a team effort. You know what I mean?
That's a great way to look at it, and I think, being a musician yourself, you tend to come at it from that angle, and you appreciate it
100%.
more.
Yeah, absolutely. I come up at it from an angle of what is this record going to sound like when we play it live, and I think that's another reason why I grew up in playing in bands. I grew up playing in southern rock bands and country bands where, a lot of times we would just kind of jam and play what was on our hearts, and I think when you do that and you give other musicians that chance to put their heart and soul into something, they do. When you give them that opportunity, they do it, and then you end up with a better product. I fully agree with that.
That's a great way to look at it. I love live recordings, and I love hearing songs live, and there's been a lot of times in my life where I've heard a song that maybe I liked it, but when I heard them do it live, it's like, wow, it just really became a favorite. There's something about a live performance sometimes it just can really knock you right out of the park with listening to those songs.
100%.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more, Scott.
For sure. Well, speaking of live performances, you are going to be part of the benefit for the Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt coming up June 3rd at 6:30 p.m., 3rd and Lindsley in Nashville. It's Country for a Cause, and T.G. Shepard, Kelly Lang are hosting that again this year. Some great people on there, Mo Bandy, Neil McCoy, and, of course, Trey Calloway is going to be there. That's going to be a great show.
I'm looking forward to it, man. This is going to be my second year performing, and I've got two of my great musician buddies, Jim Ed and Zach Robertson, coming out to jam with me. My fiddle player and guitar player, and they were so gracious to do this show with me. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing some of my friends and meeting some of the people on this deal, man. There's some crazy star power on this deal. I'm excited to be a part of it, man.
Oh, absolutely.
A little bit in shock, a little bit of imposter syndrome, but at the same time, I'm just hanging on for dear life, Scott, and getting everything I always worked for. We worked really hard. Me and the team have worked really hard, and it's really paying off. I'm glad to see the Lord blessing what we're doing, and just hoping it goes well. And Country for a Cause couldn't be, like you mentioned before, it couldn't be a better cause. So to be a part of it's a great honor, and I'm glad they let me come back. I'm glad they weren't like, oh, we got to get rid of that guy. But it turned out good, man.
It is. A lot of great people. Gus Arundel and Springer Mountain Chicken, just a fabulous sponsor of that. And, of course, TG and Kelly have been hosting it for quite a few years now. Just good people all around. It's always a great event, and I encourage everybody to get your tickets. 3rdandlindsley.com. You can get your tickets for that. We'll have that information on our Facebook page for My Kind of Country. Be sure to get down there for that great show. It's going to be fantastic, no doubt about it. And Trey, man, your new album, you got some great cuts on here. I'm going to go to one that I really love, and I tend to grab it. I like listening to albums in their entirety, but there's always a certain song that kind of I gravitate back towards, and that for me that is "She Don't Break It Like She Used To." Tell me about that one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very cool, man. Well, so that's I call that my Eddie Raven tribute song, man. That's my 80s country tribute song. And for me, like, we did that purposely. And if you don't mind, I'll take a minute to talk about it.
Oh,
I wrote that song with Brandon Hood, who produced the record, and Terry McBride from McBride and the Ride. And he gave it that Texas feel, man. I mean, Terry's just, he's Texas country all the way. And I wanted to write a shuffle. And we went to the studio when we did it. We were going to kind of give it the Working on My Next Broken Heart or something like that, the 90s kind of vibe. And Brandon had the idea, and he said, why don't we Eddie Raven this up? Why don't we give it a little bit of bop to it? A little bit of an 80s kind of bounce to it. And it just turned out so good. I love playing that song live. People love it, and I'm so glad that I wrote that song and put it out, man. People are loving it, and plus the single cover, everything about that song turned out really good, and I'm glad you like it.
I love that song. I really do. Yeah, tell me about some of the other songs on the album.
Well, we got Truck Around, the title track, and I wrote that one with Jim Hawkins and Aaron Loy, same guys I wrote She Misses Being Mrs. with, which is also on the album. And Truck Around, man, was just a silly pickup truck song. Man, I had the hook in my book of Don't Make Me Turn This Truck Around, and I'm glad we didn't end up writing that one because that song came out not too long after that with a big old hit called "Don't Make Me Turn This Truck Around." So I'm glad we didn't write it. But Aaron was kind of sitting around the room and said, truck around and find out. And it was like, man, we got to write that. That's the hook. And we did it. And we wrote that song in about 45 minutes. And when we put the song out, I remember the debut of it. The song hadn't been out that long, and we were down in Myrtle Beach playing a show, and they made me play Truck Around 3 times that night. They just loved it, man. They just couldn't get enough of it. And it resonates with people live. They just love that rock and country, man. And then the current single, Honky Tonk Hall of Fame, people are loving that one, man. That's just a good old-fashioned 90s type of barn burner that I've kind of been somewhat known for. I've gotten known for my gospel tinge stuff too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I would say 2 of them that I'm really excited about, that I'm proud of, I would say the most, is She Misses Being Mrs., which is, for it being Memorial Day yesterday, it really meant a lot to me. It's not just about the men and women that we lose, but about the spouses, the partners, and the families that they leave behind. And that's really, the song is really shining a light on the people that are left behind, because I don't think they get talked about enough. The heroes are that's what they are. They're heroes, but their families are heroes too. They sacrifice the ones they love to keep us free and keep us safe. So that's what She Misses Being Mrs. about. And then Ballad of Righteous and Wrong. So that's another one that I really, really am proud of. It was a grand experiment. It's a cowboy murder ballad. It's just a story song about the Wild West, and you just got to go listen to it to really understand it, man. But I'm proud of this album, and like you said, She Don't Break It Like She Used To is another one of my favorites, especially live.
That's a great one for sure.
I love every song on this album, man. I mean, Hank You, that's semi-biographical about, me. I didn't go to college. I got out of high school, and I said, I know I want to play country music for a living. So I decided not to go to college, and I told everybody for the longest time that I graduated from Hank U. And it just turned into a great hook of a song. I wrote that one with Bill DeLuigi and Kirstie Manna, 2 other great writers, and it turned out great. We cut that song. Cool thing, and that's the last thing I'll say about the album, but that record, Hank U, was cut in 1 take.
Wow.
That is very rare nowadays. We cut that music in 1 take.
Wow, that is amazing. Yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah, that's 1 take, man. It's crazy, dude. We did it in the studio, and we all looked at each other through the booth, and we were like, I don't think we can do it any better than that. It just turned out they had that magic. The first take just had that magic, man.
Well, folks, the album is called Truck Around, TreyCallawayMusic.com. We will have that information on our Facebook page. And make sure you get yourself a copy of that. And, of course, you can stream and download it at all the usual suspects that we get our music from these days. Some great stuff out there. And be sure to go see Trey at 3rd and Lindsley for Country for a Cause on June 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And we'll have all that information again on our Facebook page. And we're going to play She Don't Break It Like She Used To for you right now. And, Trey, thank you so much for taking time to be on My Kind of Country. Great talking with you, and keep putting out that fantastic music, buddy.
Thank you, Scott. I sure will, buddy. You take care, man. God bless.